welcome to Wrestle Savage is Jericho. Entertaining us for 33 years and counting since his debut in October 1990, Chris Jericho has reinvented himself time and time again. From a bratty, temper tantrum throwing cruiserweight to the first ever undisputed WWF heavyweight champion, he has proven his versatility. So, will you please shut the hell up, as today we give you the top 8 best moments of the man who just made the list, the Ayatollah of rock and roller, the gift-giving, bubbly drinking, self-proclaimed best in the world at what he does, the legend himself, Chris Jericho. Number 8. A little bit of the bubbly. After winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and becoming the first ever AEW champion on August 31st, 2019 at All Out, Le Champion would berate AEW roster members and crew backstage as he made his victory walk. This would see Jericho making hilarious comments as he went to celebrate on his own before delivering his now iconic line, "A little bit of the bubbly." This line has become immensely popular, and it even led to the creation of Chris Jericho's own line of champagne for a short time. Number 7. Conspiracy Theory. Back in 1998, on June 1st, during WCW Nitro, Chris Jericho began to unravel his conspiracy theory about WCW conspiring against him. He traveled to Washington to complain about Dean Malenko defeating him for his Cruiserweight Championship. Malenko had returned to WCW disguised as the masked wrestler Cyclope and won a battle royal at Slamboree 1998, earning the right to challenge Jericho for his Cruiserweight Championship. During the match, Malenko removed his mask, revealing himself to Jericho before ultimately defeating him. This turn of events would cause Chris to have a backstage meltdown the night after the pay-per-view and claim that the WCW Commissioner J.J. Dillon was out to get him. In this hilarious promo, Jericho went around Washington with a sign proclaiming himself a conspiracy victim and complaining to anyone who would listen about the unfairness of Malenko's return. Number 6. The man of 1,004 holds. On March 30th, 1998, live on WCW Monday Nitro, Chris Jericho took his feud with Dean Malenko to another level in hilarious fashion. During his match, Jericho dedicated it to the memory of Dean Malenko, claiming that Malenko had quit WCW after losing to him. After swiftly defeating Marty Jannetty with a Lion Tamer submission, Jericho grabbed a large pad of paper and exclaimed, "Malenko, you claim to be the man of 1,000 holds, but I counted and you know about 60. He then boasted that he knows 1,004 holds, and he proceeded to comically read from his giant list, in which every third move was an armbar. As he counted, after showcasing about 10 moves, the broadcast cut to a commercial break. Upon returning, Jericho was still listing moves in the ring and hilariously had reached number 712, which, as you may have guessed, was once again armbar. Number 5. The Festival of Friendship. In one of the greatest segments of the modern wrestling era, taking place at Raw on February 13th, 2017, Chris Jericho treated us to the WrestleMania of camaraderie-themed celebrations, the Festival of Friendship. Complete with showgirls and gifts, it was an opportunity for Jericho to show his best friend Kevin Owens just how much their friendship meant to him. The segment lived up to the expectations that we have developed for Chris Jericho over the years and surpassed them. It was even more impressive that Kevin Owens managed to keep a straight face throughout the segment, despite growing increasingly annoyed by the sheer silliness unleashed from Chris Jericho. The spectacle included a $7,000 sculpture that Jericho had commissioned from a renowned Norwegian post-minimalist, maximalist artist named Rolf Guggenheim. Although the sculpture was deemed horrible, it symbolized the intertwined friendship between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Additionally, there was an awful painting called The Creation of Kevin and a magician named Friendship the Magician, whom Chris Jericho had found on Craigslist. To add to the comedy, Chris Jericho attempted to gift Owens with what he supposedly desired the most, Goldberg, but it turned out to be the comedic imitation Gilbert. These events triggered Kevin Owens, leading him to finally lose his patience. This resulted in Owens demolishing Chris Jericho and smashing him into the Festival of Friendship TV set, setting the stage for their WrestleMania 33 match. Number 4. Personal security. In late 1998, Chris Jericho began building up for a feud with Goldberg. Although the pair wouldn't end up having a match due to Goldberg's refusal to work with Jericho and WCW failing to see his potential, Jericho did an amazing job of getting the angle over. He would mock Goldberg's entrance in one of the funniest segments in WCW's history, getting lost backstage at Fall Brawl 1998 in a Spinal Tap style scenario on his way to the ring. He then intentionally had his pyro malfunction whilst imitating Goldberg's iconic entrance. Of course, this all involved Jericho's personal security, one of whom took on a life of their own. The gimmick Chris Jericho created, Ralphus, became a comedic sidekick of Norman Smiley after Jericho left WCW and headed to the WWF. His feud with Goldberg would only escalate, leading to Goldberg to have a backstage temper tantrum before attacking Jericho on the November 9th, 1998 episode of Nitro. This came after many weeks of Jericho calling him out.
If you're enjoying this list, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, because yeah goes a long way, yeah. We'll be replying to the kills come home and dropping elbows on you. Dig it?
Number 3. Y2J. Although we covered this in our 8 defining moments of the Attitude Era video that's linked in the description below, this debut stands as one of the biggest in the history of pro wrestling. When the countdown to the millennium finally revealed none other than Chris Jericho himself, it marked a turning point in his career. No longer overlooked as he had been in WCW, his incredibly entertaining promos earned him a spot on stage alongside none other than the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, The Rock. Jericho promised to turn Raw is Snore into Raw is Jericho, a promise he delivered on. His arrival injected a new level of excitement and energy into the show. With his charisma and in-ring abilities, Jericho quickly made an impact, captivating audiences and becoming a main event attraction. The debut of Y2J marked a significant moment in wrestling history as it showcased Chris Jericho's undeniable talent and set the stage for his successful career. The combination of his captivating promos, in-ring skills, and memorable catchphrases solidified his status as one of the all-time greats. Number 2. Undisputed Champion. Chris Jericho made history at Vengeance on December 9th, 2001 by becoming the first ever WWF Undisputed Champion. In an incredible feat, he defeated both The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in one night. Winning both the WCW and WWF World Heavyweight Championships on the same night should have solidified Jericho's legitimacy even further. However, despite the significance of this achievement and its undeniable memorability, his reign with the titles didn't quite live up to expectations. During his reign, Jericho found himself overshadowed by the likes of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the arrival of the NWO. Additionally, the ongoing feud between Ric Flair and Vince McMahon over the ownership of the company diverted attention away from Jericho's championship run. He also entered into a feud with Triple H, leading into WrestleMania 18, ultimately dropping the titles to him, and it took several years for Jericho to regain momentum within the company after that. Although his reign as Undisputed Champion may not have been as illustrious as anticipated, the fact that Chris Jericho became the first ever Undisputed Champion remains a significant milestone in his career. Number 1. The List of Jericho. Wrestle Savage fans, you just made the list. You know who else made the list? Mick Foley on the September 19th, 2016 episode of Raw, when Chris Jericho debuted the List of Jericho, only to be interrupted by Enzo and Big Cass, and a bunch of other WWE tag teams. The list quickly became a list of stupid idiots and anyone that Chris Jericho thought had done him wrong. The list throughout 2016 and 2017 would become one of the most popular things in all of WWE. Everyone that interacted with Jericho would have incredibly entertaining moments, including Elias, who got sung to as he made the list, and a hilarious moment seeing Dean Ambrose getting removed from the list, only to be sneakily added back on later. The List of Jericho had so many memorable moments, so let us know your favorites in the comments, because you know what happens when you don't leave a comment or give us video likes? You just made the list!